This is your tech news briefing for Wednesday, July 13th. I'm Zoe Thomas for the Wall Street Journal. For the last couple of years, SpaceX has been launching satellites into orbit to form Starlink, an internet-providing web that, as of June, was serving 400,000 customers globally. But SpaceX says its signals could be hampered if the Federal Communications Commission approves new rules to expand the spectrum for 5G wireless service. It's facing opposition, though. TV operator Dish wants those frequencies added to support its future business plans. So how is the battle shaking out, and what will it mean for internet customers? Joining us to discuss this is WSJ telecoms reporter Drew FitzGerald. Hey Drew, thanks for coming on the show.
Sure, thanks for having me.
Let's just start with some basics. What exactly is the FCC doing, and what would it mean in terms of how we use the internet and get access to it?
What the FCC is reviewing is whether it can change its rules for wireless spectrum, and these are the radio waves over the air that cell phones, satellite TVs, satellite internet services, airplanes that are connected to Wi-Fi. It's what they all use to communicate with the wider world. A particular frequency band that is mostly used for satellite service right now, that's what this is all about. Some companies want the rules rewritten to make room for 5G service from cell phone towers, while others want to keep it restricted to satellite use as it is today. So the debate is really all about internet service, and specifically the best way to provide that service over the air.
So Dish Network is one of the companies that's in favor of this change. How would it benefit them? Why would they support it?
Well, Dish is actually a TV company that's been slammed by cord cutting like everybody else. So its chairman has made a big bet on 5G networks that are built on the ground. And Dish has another big supporter in a company owned by Michael Dell, another billionaire who's invested in telecom and a lot of technology, obviously, before.
Okay, but, companies like SpaceX, they don't want regulators to do this. What's their argument?
Well, SpaceX's internet business, which is called Starlink, has been putting thousands of satellites into orbit over the past few years, and those satellites use some of these frequencies today to communicate with their customers. SpaceX's main argument against the rule changes is that 5G service in this particular band of frequencies, it's saying that that's going to interfere or drown out the signal from its existing satellites.
So pretty much SpaceX is arguing if you change the rules that its internet isn't going to be as robust as it is at the moment?
Exactly. It's arguing that if the rules change in the way that some are proposing, that its service will be degraded and the internet speeds and the reliability that they have achieved so far from satellites in the sky will be lessened, and that a lot of their customers won't have internet service that's as good as it is today. And a lot of Starlink's customers are in remote areas where there's not cable internet or any other kind of high-speed internet service available. So that leaves their customers with few choices if, in fact, their service is going to be affected.
So Dish and its supporters are in favor of these changes. SpaceX and other companies like it don't want the changes to come through. How are these companies stepping up their efforts to convince regulators to take their side?
Well, they're stepping up their lobbying game, both sides. They've been going to the Federal Communications Commission many times over the past few months, making their case in meetings and in filings, arguing that the science is basically on their side. Ultimately, what this is an engineering decision, and it's up to the FCC to decide not what the new rules should be, but basically whether the rules should be examined, whether they should be changed at all, and whether it's possible for these two types of internet services, these two types of technologies, to coexist in the same airwaves, in the same airspace. So that's what's before the FCC. I should also add that both companies have spent a decent amount of time through their lobbyists on Capitol Hill, and there have been hearings held on this and also a lot of activity on Capitol Hill from both sides trying to marshal senators and members of Congress to make the case for them in Washington.
I mean, this seems like a really technical argument from both sides, but it is essentially about internet use. So should regular internet customers be concerned about how this debate shakes out?
Well, Starlink argues that they should, and that's another development that's happened over the past few weeks from SpaceX. The company sent emails to a lot of its customers essentially urging them to write their congressperson and to write the FCC, urging these officials to not change the status quo and to protect their internet service. And that's something that a lot of companies will commonly do. They'll marshal a lot of their customers to make their case in Washington. We'll see how much of an effect that has. Like many of Elon Musk's companies, the Starlink customer base is a very passionate customer base. And after just a few weeks, there have been more than 95,000 comments filed in the system on this particular issue. But at the end of the day, it's not the politicians, but it's civil servants, career engineering types that are looking at this record and deciding what to do next.
Do we have any timeline on when we should expect a decision from them?
It's really up to the FCC. There's no stop clock on this, and it could go on for weeks. It could go on for years.
All right, we'll just have to keep an eye on it and see how things shake out. That's our reporter, Drew FitzGerald. Thanks for joining us, Drew.
Thanks for having me.
And that's it for today's Tech News Briefing. If you want more tech stories, check out our website, WSJ.com. And if you like our show, please rate and review it. You can do that wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Zoe Thomas for The Wall Street Journal. Thanks for listening.